Hey guys, I'm Jax and I just saw the new Matthew Vaughn spy film, Argylle, starring Henry Cavill as Argylle. That's right, the sexiest, charming, most amazing man who's ever lived, Henry Cavill, was somehow convinced or potentially tricked into donning this horrendous haircut. The worst hairdo I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know what Matthew Vaughn said, what possible sequence of words that form some kind of sentence and or paragraph could he have conjured from those filthy little lips of his. What could have Matty V said to Henry Cavill to make him have this haircut? I don't know what happened, and I want to know what happened. I want to be in the room where it happened, and I want to know. I don't know if I've ever wanted to know something more. Like, you could be like, I have God on the line, and he will answer actual questions about the existence of man, and other questions about the fact that apparently he exists, which, that's crazy. I would be like, no, hang up the phone, call Matty V, ask him, what did he say to Henry Cavill? Because it's got to be the worst thing I've ever seen. Ever. And I think if it wasn't Henry Cavill, like, with the face under the hair, I don't think I could watch the movie with him in it. I don't think I could stomach it. It would just make me so angry. But the more I think about it, I think it makes me so angry because he's so handsome. And you can just do so much with that handsome, rugged face. Options are limitless. But when I say limitless, I mean there is a limit and you stop there. And under the line where you shouldn't go is the Argylle haircut. I hated it. I cannot stress enough how much I hated it. It makes me physically ill. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I'm like, I was confronted. I was offended. I couldn't be consoled. My whole day was ruined. It was a trying time for me. I will not lie. I will not deny my feelings. It made me absolutely disgusted. I couldn't. If I didn't know. This is probably the only good thing about that trailer making me so angry. Is if I didn't know that Henry Cavill was going to look like that, but I knew he was going to be in the movie, as soon as he appears at the start of the movie, I don't think I would have ever emotionally recovered from that. It would be the only thing I'm talking about in this review. Which I suppose is still the only thing I'm talking about in this review, but that's because this movie sucks, and I didn't like it. I thought I was going to love it. Bloody Matty V, it's just a roll of the dice. No, that's no, it's not a roll of the dice. It's a flip of a coin. It's a bloody two-face. No, it's not a two-face thing. It's always heads. It's like a flip of the coin, like the Targaryens. One time they're incest, the other time they're not. It's like that, but entirely different in that you don't know what you're going to get with a Matty Vaughn film. Are you going to get Kingsman 1, the greatest spy film ever made? Or are you going to get Kingsman 2, the worst spy film ever made? You don't know. This is kind of like, and no, this isn't even as good as Kingsman 3, where it's like kind of in the middle, but like a bit more towards like Kingsman 1. Well, actually a lot more. I really like that film. I hate to so much. This is right in the middle. There's some good, there's some very bad, but unfortunately really creeping towards the bad. It doesn't matter. It's not good. I hated it. I didn't hate it. I thought some of it was pretty fun, and other parts were convoluted nonsense. It was messy. Let's just say it was messy. I don't know what you're thinking. Usually your reviews, Jax, Mr. Kraken, they're usually very straightforward, very direct, no rambling or tangents to be seen. What's going on today? Well, it's the movie Argylle. It's so messy, it's messy-deed my brain. I didn't like this. And I really thought I was going to. I tricked myself by rewatching all of Matthew Vaughn's films. I'm like, oh, he's so good. Kick-Ass, spectacular. The two big comic changes, they shouldn't have done that, but hey, that's my fault for reading the comic, I guess. And Kingsman 1 is like the best film ever. I love it so much. The First Class, X-Men First Class, probably the best X-Men movie. This guy doesn't miss. Except for when he misses. Like Kingsman 2 and Argylle. Oh god, when he misses, he really... It's like a swing for the fence, but then if he misses for the swing for the fence... somehow, like, he throws the bat, he lets go of the bat, and it flies into the crowd and hits your mum and kills your mum. So it's you swing for the fence, and sometimes you get a home run, I think it is. Other times, the bat falls and kills your mum. And so this is that. Argylle is like a baseball game in which your mum dies. As I said, this film's messed me up because I was so excited and I left very flat. Oh, yeah, also, Henry Cavill's not actually really in this movie. He's on the poster, front and center, but I suppose he's Argylle, and that's kind of the ruse of the film. It's the twist. This film's got like 4 or 5 twists and 2 really big kind of twists and turns and reveals and revelations. It's got things going on and all that stuff. Classic spy stuff. It's all convoluted and nonsense and stupid, but not in the good way, not in the fun way. It just feels messy and weird, and sometimes things happen, and just the way they happen, I'm like, that could have been something, but just the way he does it this time, it just really didn't work for me, which I found really odd. Even though so much of this film does work, and I think that mostly comes down to the cast. Because Henry Cavill is spectacular in the 15 minutes he's in the film, but he's not the main character, because the plot of this movie, and this is where I think my biggest issues come from the actual plot itself, just the core basic idea of the plot, which is that, like, it starts off and it's like, Argylle, Agent Argylle, Mr. Henry Cavill with the hair. Oh, I just don't want to think about the hair. He's in the movie and he's like, I'm a spy. So Henry Cavill's a spy and he does spy things, and John Cena's his tech guy, his body, muscly tech man boy guy, and Dua Lipa's in it, and she's like, it's me, Dua Lipa. I'm not atrocious, but I'm not great, which is a shame because I love Dua Lipa. Her music's spectacular. She's good at acting in the music videos, but I suppose that's not really acting. I liked seeing her. Once again, she's not really in it because the first scene sets out and it's like, big spy mission. And then it's like, cut to black or cut to white, and then text appears, and oh my god, this is a book. And it's Bryce Dallas Howard is a writer, and she writes the books that is Argylle. And yeah, she's a book writer, and she makes spy books. But then Sam Rockwell, who's the actual main character, well, Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell. But he rocks up and he's like, I'm not Argylle, but I'm a spy and I do spy stuff. And so he's the spy of the film. And the Bryce Dallas Howard is a writer, and kind of like in all early 2000s cop shows where it's like, the cop's like, I'm a cop, but I need some kind of wacky guy who's not a cop to help me do my job. You know, like Numbers, where the guy's like, I do math to do everyone's jobs. And the Mentalist is like, I do mentalist stuff. I don't know. I didn't watch that one, but there's always like a guy, like a psychic guy, like in Psych. He's like, I'm a psychic guy. I do psychic guy stuff and do the job with the cops without being a cop. It's like that, but spies. Sam Rockwell's like, I'm a spy, but I can't do spy good now enough. Bryce Dallas Howard, you write good spy books. We need a book girl to do the spy stuff, and that's the movie. And I thought that was kind of dumb. And then there's a twist later. And I'm like, oh, I guess I kind of get it now. But now I think maybe it's dumber and worse. Maybe I didn't like the plot. And I can't spoil what happens in the back half. It's essentially a different movie. It takes some crazy swing. Once again, swing for the fence. But this time the bat broke off and it killed your mum and your dad. I'm sorry. That's horrible. It killed your nemesis at school, your arch rival. You killed their mum and dad. No, that would be a good thing. I was just trying to deflect from the horrific nightmare scenario I just painted in your eyeballs. Back to the movie. It's a spy movie with Matthew Vaughn, and he does the Matthew Vaughn thing where the camera kind of like does a movement as it does, and there's like, it's kind of kinetic, and there's a fun kind of energy to it, and it's mostly pretty good. But like, I feel like he's gone like so big with his ideas that the CGI, and CGI is not necessarily an issue for me, not at all. These are big movies. Throw in some effects, do some crazy stuff. Like there's one scene right at the end that is so dumb. It's so dumb. I loved it. But there are a couple of scenes, particularly the first scene in like the book spy world. The CGI is so bad. It's so ugly. It puts a foul taste in your mouth, and it's like, it's meant to be this fun thing, and Henry Cavill's like, I'm a sexy spy man, look at my hair, and John Cena's like, I'm big and muscly, but also the tech guy, maybe, or something, and it's like, oh, I wanted to have so much fun and love this movie, but it just looks so ugly, like it hurt my face. I was like, the villains all suck. I hated all of them. I thought all of that was absolutely terrible. There's some good elements. Sam Rockwell is very, very fun in this movie. Bryce Dallas Howard is spectacular. I love her. I feel like she's super, super underrated. There are some genuinely great moments of humor and heart from her character. I loved all of her stuff for like half of it, for most of it. And just for me personally, I feel like the twists and turns they do later on kind of do a disservice to the story in general, and it kind of plays with some tired tropes that I don't really like in anything, and particularly in this, because I kind of thought that we were going to do something else. And then the back half, we kind of do something where I'm like, oh, I don't love this kind of story. And then in the back half, there's a bunch of other twists and turns that happen. And all of them I felt were very obvious, very boring, very cliche, very generic, very just bleh, bleh. Didn't like them at all. But there's some pretty ridiculous action. Some truly insane things I thought was pretty fun and dumb and silly and over the top. It's a ridiculous, stupid world, so have some fun with it. But yeah, I feel like by that time I was kind of like looking at the run clock, being like, that run clock, the time of the running, it's too long. It's too long. And I've taken too long to explain that it's too long and bad. And I understand there's some kind of irony in that. Or maybe I'm being metaphorical. This is a symbolism. Me being a messy, bad review of a bad movie that's messy. This is actually quite clever, what I'm doing. It's quite clever. And so this spy film does a bunch of spy cliches and tropes and all those things, and some of them are really, really fun, some of them are pretty boring and flat, and I found myself, like, over the course of the film, trying to like, kind of convince myself to like it. I'm like, I really like Matthew Vaughn. He's only made one bad film, and I didn't even hate it the first time I watched it. But I think that's because I loved Kingsman 1 so much. So like when the really awful things happen, I'm like, no, that's not awful. That's crazy and wild and fun. I was trying to trick myself. I recently rewatched it, maybe like a month or two ago. I watched the first one. I'm like, oh, it's even better than I remember. This is like a perfect film, except for one tiny nitpick at the end where it should be gory, but it's not. But who cares? Everything's perfect. And the second one, like, except for the first 5 minutes, the rest of the film is a train wreck. And I loathed it because I had kind of like those rose-tinted glasses or whatever, where I wasn't trying to trick myself into liking it. This wasn't kind of Game of Thrones early season 7, where I'm like, no, this is still really good, guys. It hasn't gotten bad yet, because I was just trying to convince myself, because I just want to love things. I don't want to hate anything. I want everything to be amazing. I don't want to have to watch bad things. And sometimes when I love something so much, I trick myself into thinking it's good. And I feel like for the first half, I'm like, this is really good. And then by the second half, I'm like, some bits are pretty good, but now I'm sitting here in a chair, alone in this. What was I going to... For some reason, I was going to say cathedral, editing, recording. One of the rooms in my house. It's plain walls. It's maybe the dullest room that's ever existed. Except this is where the magic happens. That's the worst thing I've ever said. And so, in summary, to cut a horribly long whatever that was short, now I'm sitting here actually thinking about the film, processing the film properly, and digesting it in my mind, and then spewing it out of my mouth. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The performances are spectacular, really, really good. Bryce Dallas Howard was super good. Sam Rockwell, really, really good. Samuel L. Jackson's in there for 5 seconds. He's like, it's me. I'm Samuel L. Jackson. Give me my $1 million. And man, did he deserve it, because he's Samuel L. Jackson. Just give him money. Just give him money and have him do nothing in a movie. That's fine. Henry Cavill is spectacular, but he's really just in the opening scene as like the book guy for it cuts to reality, and she like hallucinates him every now and then when Sam Rockwell's like, I'm the actual spy in this movie, I'm the main character, even though I'm like not really in the marketing at all, but I guess that's like the guys. But it's like it's 5 minutes in. The ruse is up, as it were. So it's not, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But Sam Rockwell, he's like doing punchy karate spy stuff, and sometimes it'll cut to Henry Cavill being like sexy when he's doing it, and that's pretty fun. That was fun. Like there's elements from like it's kind of fun. And then Bryce Dallas Howard is like happy, and she's like, oh hey, this is actually kind of sexy and cool. He's killing all those people because he's like at one point all these babes are like kissing him, but then it cuts to reality, and Sam Rockwell's like punching the two ladies because they're evil spies or whatever. Like there's fun little things in there, but the actual choppiness of it happens so much throughout the film, especially in the first like third of the film. And there's so much choppiness to it, but there's this weird blinking effect. Like the screen just goes like black, but you see like the eyelids come down. It's like flickering, and like it's just a really odd choice. And like in theory, like I understand why he did it. she's blinking, being like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm hallucinating, but also things are crazy in real life. And it's like, I get it. But like, Bryce Dallas Howard, great actress, does an amazing job in the rest of the film. But then she's just been like, he's like, blink, make sure they understand you're blinking, because I'm going to do this weird blinking blackout effect. It's just so badly cut and edited, and I'm like, this guy did Kingsman 1. This guy did Kick-Ass. This guy did First Class. Stardust. That Guy Ritchie film that's not by Guy Ritchie. Layer Cake. This guy knows how to make films. Why does this feel like someone who doesn't have the firm grasp on cinema and filmmaking and storytelling that Matthew Vaughn clearly does? What's up, Matty V? Why did you make me go see your stupid movie? Ugh. He was 6 out of 7. 6 out of 7. Such a strong form. 6 out of 8 now. It's disappointing. I feel like at a certain point he was 5 for 5. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a downward trajectory. But it is.